Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my new podcast. It's been a while, actually, at least it feels like it. My name is Ben, and my today's guest is Christiana Maxion, most known as the Dubai Matchmaker. And I invited her to this podcast firstly because I think that the topic of dating and understanding the intersexual dynamics is super, super important to having a healthy and successful and happy life. But secondly, Christiana also has a very unique and interesting personal story with alcohol. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to hear that, actually. So Christiana, welcome.
Ben, thank you so much for having me. I must say, I've been on like so many podcasts. I'm a little bit nervous, and I have my tissues like right here just in case, because I feel like I'm going to get very emotional in a good way.
That's
obviously.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And really a big pleasure about having you here. And just for anyone that doesn't know anything about you, shall we start with just having a bit of a discussion about your life story?
Yeah.
How are you now sitting in front of me? What's the story behind it?
I will give you the very abridged version because I feel like I've already lived like 8 different lives. But I originally grew up in New York. Okay. And I moved to the UAE in 2016. I was actually in a relationship at that time. That was the reason for me moving. We had split, but I decided to stay in the country. I really grew my career in education, climbed that corporate ladder, became a leader in a school, published author by the age of 28 or 29, one of those. And but I now am in the love industry. That all kind of like happened in a weird roundabout way. Started an Instagram account, got fired from the school I was working for at that time within 24 hours. And I was like, what am I going to do?
24 hours.
Yes,
wow.
Crazy story. But I always say that every left turn, right turn, U-turn in your journey is meant to happen. And Tony Robbins says it best. Life happens for you, not to you. So I kind of took that opportunity, and that's when I opened up my matchmaking agency.
Okay.
The extreme success and high demand of the agency basically went into the birth of my app, Maxion Match and Meet. Yeah. So I have so many things going on, plus another secret project I'm working on, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And the reason why I'm here is because I am now sober. So I'm excited to talk about that journey because I feel like I'm on other podcasts talking about other things, but this is more personal.
Awesome. And we'll go into that immediately afterwards. But I just would like to know, so in terms of like the dating and obviously the business that you created and now the app and now another project coming on, is this coming from a passion point of view that is like a big topic of passion of yours, or are there any other drivers and motivators that are behind that decision to go into this sphere?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love love. Who doesn't love love? But I've always been a solution seeker. Like if I saw a problem, I wanted to solve it. And I used to have an Instagram account called Dating in Dubai. Okay. And I love dating in Dubai. I think it's the best place in the world to date. You can date the entire map, and you just have so many different options, and you really get to find out like what you're actually attracted to. Yeah. Especially if you're coming from more of like a homogeneous hometown, where here it's so, my gosh, you have a whole buffet of beautiful people from all different parts of the world, all different religions, nationalities. It's a great way to figure out what you're actually attracting and what you like in somebody. But when I had the account, so many people would complain about dating. Men complained about one thing, women complained about the other. But I was like, why do people hate dating in Dubai so much? It's such a great place. Yeah. Also, because like the most amazing people I've ever met were all living in the UAE. So I basically was just like, okay, these people are missing one another. So I wanted to be the bridge that connected them. Okay. And that's what birthed, the matchmaking agency.
Okay. That's awesome. And I mean, I do agree with you. Before coming to Dubai, I didn't know what to expect in terms of the dating scene. But like you said, it's just such a wonderful thing to be able to get to meet people from basically anywhere.
Exactly.
So It's like having all the flavors of ice cream here. You just have to find out
just
which your favorite.
Bellyache. Don't eat too much ice cream. It's bad for you.
I know. I agree. Cool. So what's your story with alcohol? Let's go into it. Let's go into it.
It's interesting, right? Like, gosh, we can go way back. So I grew up in Westchester in New York, and it's funny, like both of my parents grew up in the city.
Okay.
Father grew up in the Bronx, my mother grew up in Manhattan, and they raised us in Westchester because they really thought that, they lived such a fast life growing up in New York City.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like in Westchester, it obviously is like more laid back, but my dad actually coins and he calls it the Wastechester because we were getting wasted like at 12 years old, like going to the golf course. We called it the dumps back in White Plains, drinking at the dumps. Like, I think that was just something the cool kids did, and getting wasted every weekend, drugs, all of that. And that's kind of like where it all started.
Okay.
And I think back and I think about, oh my gosh, I was like a 14-year-old girl going to bars in Manhattan, like with my girlfriends, getting absolutely wasted, taking the train back. Like, I thank God every day that nothing terrible has happened to me.
Yeah.
But it just seems so reckless now thinking about that. And when I think about like the future family I'm going to have, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would never, ever, ever, or I hope I wouldn't raise them to be in that kind of environment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you think it started off purely as maybe even like a social pressure because you were part of that environment, or was there a click maybe when you were, I don't know, 14 or 16 or 18 or whichever age, when you felt like, oh, this is maybe becoming a slight problem? Or you ever had that realization in the early ages, or?
No, it was just part of the culture. Like, that's just what you did, just getting wasted with your friends. And then especially like my senior year, it had to have been, it was when Facebook came out. And then it was like posting all those photos from house parties, what I mean? And then obviously I was at university at the time too, when Facebook was like rampant. So every night of the week, like I remember in my dorm, so I used to be a college athlete and then I got injured. So I stopped early on in my sophomore year. But I remember in my college dorm, I had a calendar. And every night of the week, I would put down, okay, lacrosse house for this, swim house for that, because we didn't have fraternities. We had like athlete houses, hockey house for this. And I would go to a party every single night.
Oh, wow.
Literally. I mean, I was at like a really top university. I partied so much, they asked me to take a year off. Like literally, like it's the alcohol, it's the drugs, it's everything that goes into it.
Yeah.
And, but I never thought it was a problem. I just thought this is normal. This is what me and my friends do. This is cool.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I lived in the city in Manhattan after university. And yeah, it's just every Friday, then you kick off again. In the middle of the week, you're kicking off again. And it just becomes more and more of a normal thing.
Yeah, a habit almost, right?
Yeah, it's a habit.
But yeah, I've never been to US yet, but I've heard that the culture in New York, especially Manhattan, is like a really strong one when it comes to drinking, right? And
yes, I would think that drugs are so prevalent. Like it just feels so completely normal. In New York, like, yeah. Everyone's standing in the line for the bathroom.
Yeah, but not for taking a piss. Yeah. I mean, if you just look at, I mean, I have a lot of experience, of course, with Europe because I lived in like 5 or 6 different European countries. And it's getting as normal as alcohol, all the other drugs that are in the scene.
You know what's interesting? It almost was like the way that I kind of pictured it was like it's like a status symbol. Like, oh, if you're doing this, then you have money.
You're money,
cool.
yeah.
You're in this group of people. You're elite. And I mean, and then you choose partners as well who are in that same scene. And then it's like a cycle of nonsense.
But yeah, that was my thing as well. When I was still like drinking a lot of alcohol and doing a lot of drugs, I my let's say solution for this was like, okay, eventually I'm gonna find someone like the one, and she's gonna save me, and she's gonna be the good one. But I was like, no, wait, if I continue with this lifestyle, I'm never gonna find a woman that also doesn't drink alcohol and do drugs, right? So yeah, it's quite important that we set ourselves in the right environment. So after living in New York, then you moved straight to UAE, or how was the process?
So I had the guy who I was in a relationship with. We had met in New York. We did long distance for a year, and then I moved to the UAE to be in that relationship with him. And I was actually reflecting on this, and definitely my heavy, like, I wasn't a person who needed to drink every day. I never ever had that feeling or want for it or need for it, but definitely like binge drinking. Like it was drinking to get drunk, drinking to feel silly, drinking, to get to that stage, right?
Yeah.
And then it was turning into that every time I drank, I blacked out. If I had 3 drinks or I had 12 drinks, I blacked out. And I didn't start realizing that and reflecting on that till like about a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But I would say that definitely drinking and drugs were a major factor into the breakup that I had with this partner on both ends, for sure. But what you were speaking on before, like, I was choosing partners that were in that same lifestyle and cycle because I didn't want to leave it, you know? And I thought like, well, this is what I want with my life, so I want a partner who's like this as well.
Yeah.
And like now I'm on the flip side of it. It's like being sober and like I think about it. I'm like, do I want somebody who is sober as well? Or am I okay with a partner who drinks a bit but doesn't get absolutely wasted? Like I'm still figuring out that part.
I mean, I've had a lot of thoughts on this, and I'm still having a lot of thoughts about this. But what I found out is that preferably, she's sober, but I actually don't mind if she's having a couple of drinks, but not getting drunk.
I'm going to tell you this, okay?
Okay.
So I still go out all the time.
Yeah.
I go to brunches and I don't drink. Like, I'm so okay being around alcohol. I don't have any temptation whatsoever. I was recently in London, which is definitely like a big place for me that's like super heavy in terms of like drinking and drugs. And I was completely sober and I was like so proud of myself. I was like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah, congrats.
But that was like my test to myself. So, you know, you have all the numbers in your phone and I was like, delete them all. I need to delete them. But yeah, I kept them maybe to tempt myself a little bit, but I didn't do it. But anyway, what I will say is that there is nothing, especially now, like, I mean, I'm sure I was this person before, but there's nothing more unattractive than somebody who's wasted. A woman or a man. Like, I find it so unappealing.
I agree.
Because for me, now, the most attractive quality that I find in a partner is discipline. Discipline, not only in terms of, okay, they don't drink or they have control, but like, okay, I can tell if you're disciplined by your body, by your career, things that your ambitions, what you want to achieve, what you already have achieved. And I find that way more attractive than somebody who's loose. Yeah. So
I agree. And I feel like also, at least that was the case for me. Like maybe during the week, I would have a very disciplined and successful life. And then on the whole weekend, it started off by getting drunk and doing drugs. And then the next day, of course, you don't feel like meditating or reading or getting better. You're just like, you're eating shit food. You don't exercise. So it's like a negative spiral that starts off with drinking and doing drugs, right?
Yeah.
So it's it is pretty bad. So take me back to the decision when you actually said to yourself, "Oh shit, maybe I need to stop drinking."
Yeah, I think I've made that decision maybe 6 times.
Okay.
I will say, and I mean, This shouldn't get me canceled, so it's fine. I got a DUI.
Okay.
Yes, I got a DUI, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? Literally, I was like, why am I getting absolutely wasted and getting behind a car? Like, am I a crazy person? But that really, like, I would do it all the time.
Yeah.
But then that, like, really, like, shook me to my core. And with that being said, I then told myself, like, after it happened, I said, you need to do 30 days, no alcohol.
Okay.
And that was, like, the first start.
Okay.
Into, like, exploring being sober. And I used to always say, like, alcohol free because I was scared of the word sober.
Yeah.
Which is, like, so funny to me. So anyway, though, so I would do 30. I did 30 days alcohol free. Then I had a drink. And I was like, okay, I repented. I did my duty. Like, now I'm going to drink, right? But it wasn't like I said before, I didn't need to drink every single day. That's not how I was. But I would then go on, like, more, like, kind of, like, breaks with it.
Okay.
I would drink once every 2 weeks or something like that. But I saw it becoming a habit when I was hanging around certain people that this was their lifestyle. Drinking to get drunk, always being in that kind of environment definitely influenced me.
Yeah.
And I decided to go alcohol-free again, probably May of 2022, maybe it was. I went alcohol-free, and I said, listen, I have so much coming up with all of my businesses. This was right before I started doing, like, my whole press tour with matchmaking.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to be clear. And that was my number one reason. I said, I need to be clear-headed because I have a lot going on. Like, I was on television and magazines, all this. So I was like, let me stop.
Yeah.
And I did 5.5 months straight.
Oh, wow.
And I was, like, super duper proud of myself, but I was alcohol-free. And
Okay.
I wasn't drug-free.
Okay.
So I was, like, anytime I would travel, like, I would just be, like, a little naughty, like, whatever. And then over holidays, like, I was binge drinking again. And then I did, like, another pause. Then I would drink, and then I would do another pause.
Okay.
What really made me turn completely sober, I was just like, why am I in this constant cycle of putting myself in a negative position all the time? Because I have so many things that I want to accomplish, that I have accomplished, that I've yet to accomplish. And for me, I was just realizing that alcohol was getting in the way of that.
Yeah.
I felt like I was suppressing my own success. And, like, I'm a very, like I love God. I believe in God. I felt like I was putting myself in a poor position by constantly choosing poison that put me, like, just 10 steps backwards. Like, why was I constantly doing that? It's a choice that I'm making. Nobody else is making that choice for me. Yeah. So I looked at my phone today, and now it's been 42 days completely sober.
Awesome.
And I'm, like, super excited and happy for it because I just see so much more happening for me. And I just, like, it's funny because it's kind of scary to say, like, I'm never going to drink again and to kind of make a declaration, like, I am sober.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, this interesting thing. Like, when I do go to restaurants, like, I was just at lunch yesterday and they were like, oh, do you want a glass of wine? I was like, oh, no, I'm sober. And it kind of, like, shuts the conversation down.
Completely, yeah.
Instead of just like, oh, are you sure? Just have one. It's like, no, I'm sober.
Yeah.
And then it just shuts the conversation down.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And also, I mean, the fact that you're here today, it's also, I would say, a good strategy for a commitment.
Yes.
Because, I mean, that was also one of my strategies when I decided to do so. It was just like announcing to as many people as possible. Because then you're like, oh, fuck. Like, there were a couple of times when I thought, oh, it would be nice to have a drink right now. But then my first thought was like, what am I going to say tomorrow to my best friend or to my family? They're going to be like, what the fuck? You broke your promise, right? So
you know what it is? It's the accountability behind it.
Yeah.
And it's like making, like, that public declaration. And like I said, like I've said before, I'm alcohol free. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Will I have a glass of champagne? Maybe. Will my whole relationship with alcohol change? Maybe. I don't know. But right now, I know that the life that I want to live is completely sober. And I'm going to do that.
And please correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
I feel I remembered you posting a story that you actually made a commitment to be fully sober after the Tony Robbins
Yeah.
workshop.
So I made the commitment beforehand, and it's interesting because when I went to Tony Robbins, it was called Unleash the Power Within, and it was in Birmingham, of all places, but it was there. And no, it's interesting because I feel like I have an excellent mindset when it comes to growth, when it comes to career. Anything that I say I'm going to do, I do it 10 times better. That's just how I've always been.
Yeah.
So I was like, why am I not applying this to my health? If I'm applying it to my wealth, why am I not applying it to my health?
Yeah.
Especially now that I've reflected and I've seen kind of like the negative impact that it has had on my life. Like I mean, I don't know if this is true for you, but like when you make decisions, like when you're absolutely wasted, are they always good decisions? Like I don't
Almost
think
never.
so. Like 98% are probably terrible decisions.
Yeah.
And setbacks, I would say, in a way as well. So with that being said, I decided a week before, because this was going to be my first time in London where I was sober. So I said, I was like, I am going to be completely sober. And then when I went to Tony Robbins, it was one of like the really big things that I wanted to break through on and kind of like use that as my driving force for the weekend. That's like, this is my main change that I'm going to make in my life.
Yeah. And I definitely resonate with what you said before. I'm also like super, super ambitious and getting more and more ambitious every day that I live. And I was thinking like, there is no room for not being sober. I can't afford to have a day where I'm just like a complete idiot and don't do anything. And it's not like, I don't know if you had the same experience, but when I was like 16, 17, 18, 22, you know, you drank, the next day you were a bit hungover, but then it seemed fine, right?
Yeah.
But as you grow older, the hangovers just prolong and you feel tired, which is not beneficial.
So I used to never have hangovers.
No. Oh, wow.
That was another bad thing.
Oh, but that's actually a bad thing. Like
it's terrible. You just go, okay, that was cool. Or like, I mean, obviously you make poor decisions, but yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would never feel bad the next day. If anything, I would sleep longer. And that was it.
But like physically,
I probably looked terrible though. Although there were like, I remember when I was at university and I was like, it was like a night after, like a heavy night. And I remember looking in the mirror of my boyfriend's car at the time. And I was like, damn, I look good, even hungover. But also, like, you're 18. Like, everyone looks good at 18. Like, doesn't matter.
Okay. But, you know, the old me would say, oh, wow, that's a great superpower to have, not to have hangovers. But now thinking back, I think, yeah, that might have prolonged
the decision.
Sure. Yeah.
How old are you, Ben?
I'm 29.
29, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually, I stopped drinking now 3 years ago almost.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a while, yeah. But tell me a bit about some of your old beliefs that you had about alcohol that made you continue drinking. And now when you look back, you're like, oh, these are some of the beliefs that I had to completely change now.
I kind of still say this today, and I think it's probably wrong. I need to stop saying it. I am an excellent drinker. I really am. Like, I'm happy. I'm so much fun. Like, whatever you categorize fun as.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I used to always say I'm an excellent drinker. I mean, of course, I was talking about like, blacking out and stuff, but I would still get home fine, wake up in my own bed, like all of that. Everyone would be like, wow, you're so much fun. You're so funny. You're this, you're that. But it's funny, like being sober, like I would say just a better version of myself. Like I'm still fun. I still go out. I'm outgoing. I speak to everybody. So, yeah, trying to like change that in my brain about alcohol and that it was something that I was just good at. Another thing like that I've been telling myself is that alcohol is poison. I went to one of my friend's breathing seminars, and he had somebody there who was talking about manifestation. And it had to have been after like a heavy night. And it was an evening thing, and we were laying there, we were breathing, and she was just talking about manifesting. And I spoke to her afterwards, and I said to her, I was like, I know I'm holding myself back by the decisions that I make. And I was speaking about alcohol. And I started like tearing up and getting emotional. And she said, she was like, every time you pick up a glass or you think about picking up a glass of something, say, this is a glass of self-sabotage. And that completely changed like the way that I viewed alcohol. So now anytime I think like, oh, I could have a beer or maybe I'll have like one glass. I mean, I don't really get those urges too much, if I'm very honest with you, now that when I make a decision, I make a decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've trained myself to think now.
Yeah, that's a nice one. I've never heard this before, but I fully agree. Yeah. It's like the self-sabotage was a major part of it, I would say. Yeah. But were you the type of a person that if you would have one drink, it would never stop at one drink?
Yes. Yeah. So I was definitely a binge drinker.
Okay.
And like drinking to feel drunk or be drunk was definitely it. Yeah.
You've never had that oh, I just like the taste of it.
No. Well, I do like, I will say I did, or I do. I do like the taste of beer. Like cold, like an IPA is like perfect for me. Like, you know what I used to do? I used to go, when I lived in New York, my gym was Chelsea Piers, and I would go to the gym. After the gym, I'd walk across the street to Artichoke Pizza, and I would have an IPA.
Okay.
Like, so counterintuitive. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, but now you deserve it, you know? You can have it.
But also, like, you're 24, and your body is snatched, so, like, it doesn't matter anyway.
True. But to be honest, I also, out of all the alcohol, I think the beer was the only thing that I thought I enjoyed. So now occasionally I will have like non-alcoholic beer. I know some people that are sober and don't drink alcohol anymore are really against that. Yeah. I'm okay with it. It's okay for me personally. But one part of me is now thinking, maybe I started to like the taste of beer because of the feeling that it gave me, you know, the feeling of freedom and like, oh, here we go. It's going to be a great night. So I don't know. But, you know, now when you drink a 0.0 beer, it's like, you're going to have one and that's it. Even by the half of it, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I don't need to drink the whole. Well, with beers, it was never the case of that. Yeah. Okay. So do you have a lot of regrets when it comes to your experience with alcohol and drugs?
There's too many to list. And I'm not going to get too personal on here.
No, you don't need to, yeah.
Yeah, I think that there have been many times where you look in the mirror. You can't look at yourself in the mirror would be one of those. Like, I mean, not one. It's happened to me several times. And then the regret really sits in afterwards. And the shame, definitely. And then sometimes you mask the shame and regret with more. Yeah. Just to get through it. You kind of justify your actions. Well, everybody does it. Yeah. Everybody does it. Yeah. Or you say, oh, I'm not going to do it tonight. And then it happens because everybody's out. And it's just normal. Yeah, behavior. But yeah, a lot. But I will say that I always think that life happens the way that it should, no matter what. And I had to have that experience with negative consequences, positive consequences. I needed to have that in order to be where I am today. Yeah. And I mean, thank goodness, thank you, God, thank you, universe, that nothing absolutely terrible has happened to me or to somebody else. So, yeah. Yeah.
I feel the same as well. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have that experience. But especially I thank to God as well. Before you mentioned your DUI, I mean, I had so many car accidents while I was drinking, drugging and driving. Yeah. So really grateful that I didn't kill myself or anyone else. Yeah, these things. I think if I would do that, maybe that would be something I couldn't say. I don't have regret of.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, good luck. I mean, good that it didn't happen. Yeah, that's
No, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
no, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna talk about dating and being sober.
Yeah, because I actually wanted to ask you that as a next question.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, personally, how do you find now dating and being sober, and also, do you feel like you need to explain yourself a lot to the people you date now, or is it like a quick conversation about it?
You know what's interesting is that because I'm building so much right now, and like we mentioned before, like there's just like no time for poor decisions. I'm not saying dating's a poor decision. I'm saying like there's like no time, no wasted time in my life, right? So in order for me to like date somebody, I would need to have an extreme interest in them that is not lubricated, right?
Yeah.
So I think, and we just said this right before we recorded, you are such a better picker of a partner when you are sober. Like I was laughing the other day because I had met somebody for dinner. He's absolutely lovely, like somebody that I would definitely like consider for something future-wise. Maybe not my future, but he'd be such a good partner for somebody else.
Okay.
But he's like an excellent person. But it's funny, and I think about him, or I think about like other people, and I like the past relationships I had this year, like in 2023. This is before I decided to be completely sober. I would have to drink in order to be with these people. And when you start reflecting and being like, I would say, okay, I'm going to be alcohol free for 2 months. And then I would meet somebody, but then like, okay, well, we're going on a date, so I need to have a drink in order to be with this person. But then think about that. You need to lubricate yourself in order to be present with this person. That means that they're not a good partner for
Exactly,
you.
yeah.
Like, that is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
But then, like, being completely sober, like, it's interesting because I feel like you're a better pick of a partner, and you don't waste time with people who are not right for you. So you are so highly selective as to who you give your energy to.
Yeah.
And you're so highly selective in who you are intimate with. Because, like, there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no, like, soft padding there with alcohol where you can make decisions or act differently, where it's not awkward if you're having an intimate moment with somebody. Like, it really has to click in order for it to feel right when you're a sober person.
Exactly, yeah. And you also, I mean, based on my personal experience, you have to get used to it that with some people you just don't click.
Oh, definitely.
Before that, the solution was
you drink.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I had 3 beers, let's have like 6, maybe then it will work, and it did, you know. So again, also something we discussed just before we started. On a short term, it might feel a bit like you're missing out, losing out, but on a long term, I can already see like the benefits right now. So when it comes to your clients right now, what's your advice about alcohol and dating?
Listen, they're adults. They can make any decision that they want. But I do always suggest that, why would you want to be wasted on a date? Don't you want to remember everything about this person and about how amazing the date was? And also, because I work with high net worth, ultra high net worth men, most of these men are looking for women who are not partiers, who are sophisticated, classy. And whenever I think about, like, I think that a drunk woman or man is the ugliest thing on the planet. So I always advise that, but I mean, you can't tell people what to do. I mean, we do have rules about certain things, but I always suggest, like, if you are drinking, 2 glasses is fine. Anything more than that's a little why. But everybody else has different tolerances as well, so it is what it is.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, some people just drink on a daily basis, and then it's really affecting them in a lesser manner. But I definitely resonate with what you said before. It's like, do I really need to put like this poison inside of me to be able to like
connect with this
communicate,
person?
connect? Yeah.
Like it's so interesting because like I said, recently I was on a date and I kept thinking in my head, I was like, would this be a good partner for me? Would this be a good partner for me? And like then when like if it does travel into like the intimate space, you're like, okay, you see everything, you feel everything, like in like energy wise, right? And you kind of like know like, okay, is this good or is it not? Rather than it being masked by a blur of I'm drunk or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. But for me, it was actually when I first stopped drinking, I realized that like every time I would have sex with a woman for the first time, I would always be a bit tipsy. So I was like, oh, fuck, like this is now again a bit uncomfortable. It feels like I'm like 16, 17 again, right?
Yes,
but
exactly.
Then you get to enjoy, like it's a nice process. I mean, it's a wonderful process, and like we said before, like sometimes it just doesn't click, but sometimes it does, and then it's way more beautiful than compared to being obliterated and not remembering.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like when it doesn't click, then you just don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think like that's where the decision making comes in. And I don't know if you've experienced this as well, but when like I have been like alcohol free for like those periods of time and now like being completely sober, whenever I do go out, I kind of feel like this like sense of pride that I have like so much self-control.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way? Like
I do.
I feel like I go, I have made the decision not to.
Yeah.
And
but do you ever get because I get that feeling all the time, but sometimes also in a bit of a negative way, in terms of like I feel like I'm better than anyone else.
Oh, I always feel better than people. I'm always judging other people. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
I am, but yeah, I always go, I have self-control.
I mean, yeah, it reinforces your identity, which is good in a way. Yeah,
definitely.
But by the way, when every time you would go out sober, of course now, but also before when you had
when I had like
those periods. How was it for you when you initially started like socializing, going to parties, to brunches sober? Was that a difficult thing? Did it come to you naturally?
I am such an extroverted person, outgoing. I could speak to anybody. I could talk to a wall. No, I'm kidding. No, like I could speak to anybody. Like that wasn't a huge deal for me.
Okay.
What I noticed though is like depending on like who I was surrounded with, like which groups I was with, I would get different reactions. Oh, excuse me. Oh, just have one. Oh, come on. It's so-and-so's birthday. No, I'm okay. And I think that in the beginning, it might have been uncomfortable for people. But now that they know, like, okay, I'm like, this is what I'm doing, I think it's much better. I also think that before, like, where I was talking about being a better picker of a partner, but you're also a better picker of people that you surround yourself with.
100%.
Like, I love the group of people that I surround myself with now. Not only like being sober, but my plan is to be a billionaire by 40. So got to be very lean in who you hang out with.
Yeah.
But I will say that I have shed like a lot of people in my life, or I put them in categories where I will only hang out with this person in the daytime because I do not want to be around them at night when they're getting wasted. I also like find that I choose different environments to hang out in. Like, I'm not going to say this place, but like a place in DIFC, I went the other night because I had friends that were like, oh, we're going here, we're going there. Firstly, I hate house music. Like, it is not for me.
Oh, really?
I am like a hip hop girl. Hip hop, pop. Like, I love it. I need lyrics.
Okay.
But I remember like I went to like this place and like a place I used to frequent before that was fine if you're wasted, right?
Yeah.
But I went and I was like, oh my God, firstly, I hate everybody here. I can't hear anything. I can't talk to anybody. Like there's so much smoke in this place. I literally was like, this is not the environment where I'm going to elevate.
Yeah.
So I'm so choosy, not only in the people that I surround myself with, but in the environments I put myself in.
Yeah. And I feel like it's the same as we talked before about getting to realize what are you really looking in a partner. Now when you're sober, you also realize, oh, I don't like this environment, I don't like this music, I don't like these people. Well, before I think, at least from my perspective, I took it all for granted, and I was like, just give me enough alcohol and drugs and I'll manage everything. I can be anywhere.
Yes, a chameleon.
Basically, yeah. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like in terms of like choosing environments. I was recently asked to go to this thing that was kind of told to me, like masked in a certain way, and I was like, okay, yeah, fine, I'll go. I went, and as soon as I arrived to this place, I stayed for 10 minutes. Like, I was just like, I knew that this was not a place that is going to add any value. Like, meaning the place, the people that were there, going to add any value to my life, elevate me in any way. So I am so picky of where I put myself. Like, I literally was like, okay, 10 minutes, I'm out. And I left. And, like, people can say, oh, she's selfish, she's this, she's that. I am.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very, very selfish, and I'm very guarded with the amount of energy that I give to people, to places. Sorry, that's who I am.
How do you deal with that? Because I 100% resonate with that a lot.
It's better to be this way.
Yeah. The only thing is that sometimes I can be like that also to people that are really, really close to me, and that I want them in my life. And sometimes I'm just like so on my own path. But for example, in this example of leaving after 10 minutes, were you like completely blunt and honest with them? I'm leaving because I can't relate to that, or you had like a excuse?
No, so I had gone, and this person I really didn't know that well. And it really was not my vibe. People, like lots of smoke. The music was so loud, you could not speak to anybody. What is the point?
Yeah.
People were saying crass things, and that's just like not my vibe whatsoever. So no, I got up and I left, and she was like, oh, like she kind of knew how I was feeling, because I mean, I can't hide it. I can't.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Is this like not your scene? And I was like, no, not at all. Okay. And I left, and I remember getting on the phone with my dad. So I FaceTime my dad every day. He's actually moving here in 2 days.
Oh, really?
I'm so excited. Yeah.
From US?
Yeah, from New York.
Awesome.
Coming to help me run the businesses.
Awesome.
But I remember FaceTiming my dad, and I said this, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but whatever. I told my dad, I was like, I am extremely offended that she would think I would fit in that environment. Like, how dare she? And keep in mind, like, I don't really know this person that well. Friend of a friend of a friend. So I just went because, whatever, she had invited me. But I love saying no. Like, no, no, no. Like, I just think that that is a better way to be, especially when you have so much to accomplish and so many things that you want to achieve. You need to be so protective of your own energy.
Yeah. I fully agree. And one thing that I found in myself, but also the clients I work with, is that maybe initially, I thought that once I got sober and alcohol free is that, oh, I'm not so fun anymore. Like, where is this wild Ben, right? That
you were known for.
I was known for, yeah. But then I realized, and I had a lot of this, let's say, instances where I was with the right people in the right environment with the right music. And I was probably the craziest guy there, dancing my ass off, talking to everyone.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, okay. So this is completely inside of me. I just need to be very picky with the people and the environment around me. But I would say living in Dubai, you have a big opportunity to be more selective, because the opportunities are just endless with the environments, with people. So it's definitely a good thing.
I always say that Dubai is the best place to live because you can make it any kind of city you want it to be. You want it to be super clubby, high-end, whatever, staying out till 4 a.m, or you really want to lead a healthy lifestyle, wellness, all of that, you can lead that as well. You want to grow your career, you want to build something, you can do that as well. So,
yeah, I definitely agree. do you see any dark sides in especially dating in Dubai?
There's dark sides everywhere. It's not just Dubai.
Of course, yeah.
I think that, like, I always like to take people at face value. What you tell me, I will believe, right? But I also grew up in New York. I could read somebody within the first 2 minutes that I meet them, whether they're truthful or being honest, or if they have good energy, bad energy. But I think that maybe a lot of people are naive, or they close, or what is it? Have a blind eye, or whatever the term is. Turn a blind eye to things that they don't want to see in order to just be in a relationship with somebody. So I think that those are like the quote unquote dark sides of dating in Dubai. But I think it's all about perspective. And I always encourage people to date with high standards, but zero expectations. And zero expectations in the sense of then you're not letting yourself down so much. Like if you go on every day thinking, oh my gosh, this guy's going to be my husband, this woman's going to be my wife, you're constantly going to be getting let down.
Exactly.
Because it only takes one. And if you are dating, and dating is a numbers game, then you will be let down more than you would be successful. So I always say never settle. And that's like really like what my app is about. Like don't settle. And yeah, I'm excited to bring that to the market. So then it's a group of like only ambitious individuals who are like on the same wavelength and have the same alignment.
So tell us a bit more, about the app, the Maxion.
Yeah, so the app Maxion Match and Meet, it's an AI-powered social matchmaking concierge. So it's not just for romantic connections, but also social connections.
Okay.
And I always say, like, we are mastering compatibility and meaningful connections. And with our concierge inside the app, it's literally about matching and meeting. Mm-hmm. So we are only presenting to you compatible people based on our criteria and on my 96% success rate in my core business of matchmaking high net worth. And then guess what? If it's a mutual match, we align your calendars, we plan, book, confirm your meets, get the feedback, and just curates the whole experience for you.
Okay. Given the fact you said it's going to be more geared towards high net worth individuals, I assume the subscription price is going to be also a bit of a higher end.
So the matchmaking is for high net worth. The app is for a much wider audience.
Oh, okay.
So it's for like accomplished professionals, but I like to say ambitious individuals, because maybe you're not at that level yet in your career, but you're somebody who is striving for that. Yeah. Like there is an extreme like vetting process that goes into it so that everybody on the app is vetted in a certain way, whether that's selfie verification, LinkedIn, Instagram, EID, things like that. So then you're not swiping from an endless pool of incompatible partners. We're actually selecting these people for you.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So there is a bit of a vetting process.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is not on any other app right
exactly,
now.
Yeah.
You're just like, maybe I'll meet this person. And especially I think about myself and yourself, right? Yeah. You're so selective in who you surround yourself with. So you want to know that this person you have commonalities with, you have compatibility. Yeah. So you know upfront not only like what you have compatible with them, but also like you get to see their life goals. You get to see other things that are not on other dating apps where you get to be like, do we have alignment? And meeting in person. Like we're not gatekeeping connection, because there's also like group things, huge socials. So we're excited.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. You mentioned before that your goal is to be a billionaire by 40.
Yes, Billy.
What's your? Yeah, of course, that's like a vision, a mission you have, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you still see yourself succeeding in this solely by the dating business, or are you thinking about expanding to other areas as well?
I'm gonna sell this app in 2 years. I already feel it in my bones. I'm like a little witchy, but like a good witch. Like I say things and they happen. It's actually crazy. And then with that, I want to help other people grow their businesses. Because I think about the people who have invested in me and their trust in me And without that, where would the app be right now?
Okay.
So I want to be that person for somebody else, investing in their dreams and helping them grow and make their product, dreams, company a reality.
Okay.
And I have this other idea I want to do, but I'll tell you off camera.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. One of the last questions for the podcast. Unfortunately, time is running out.
No!
It went like this. I know before you mentioned, I think this is a very interesting and popular topic these days. I feel like there's a lot of fights between genders. And before you mentioned a bit about the discipline that you find very valuable in a man, but what are some of the other traits that are, basis your own opinion, part of a high value man?
Ambition. I think that somebody who's constantly striving for something better, whether that's in career, health, wealth, I think that is super important in a partner. Constantly elevating, constantly growing. We mentioned discipline. I would say, shoot me, but a man's role should be to protect and provide.
Yeah.
And that is so many different levels for so many different people. I really, really dislike the notion, or when people say, oh, you don't need a man. Yeah, you don't need him, I guess, technically on paper, but no, yeah, you do. And humans need humans, and really, you need partners in this life. You can't live it alone and solo. I think that'd be very sad.
We cats.
Yeah, we are not cats.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely ambition, the security, protecting, providing, discipline, I find that attractive. Oh, number one thing. Well, not number one. A big factor in my attraction to somebody is I'm attracted to somebody who has power. But power in the sense of they have that EST factor. EST meaning are they the smartest person in the room? Right? Do they command a room? When they walk in a room, they command a room. I think that's super attractive to me. Why are you asking for personal reasons?
Yeah. No. It's just good to hear different opinions. Yeah.
And yours? What do you find attractive in a woman?
So it's a very interesting question, because if you would ask me this 1 year or 2 years ago, I would have a clearly defined set of what I'm looking for, and I would even write it down, etc. But the thing is that I've been kind of dwelling into in the past year is what is my subconscious attracted to? Because I feel like a lot of the times I was asking myself, why was I attracted to her in the end? Maybe at the beginning was a big emotional connection and super passionate romance. And in the end, I found out that, oh, wow, I'm just receiving the things that happened to me in the past, but in another I don't know how to say,
another person, the same things,
same patterns, right?
Yeah.
So I would still say I'm in an exploratory phase right now. While 1 year ago I would be I'm looking for this, and this. So you can ask me this question again in 1 year.
1 year? Oh my God.
I mean, let's see, maybe in 2 months. We'll see. All right, one last question.
Yeah, go for
Before
it.
you mentioned that, obviously, in future, you also potentially want to have a family. What's the advice you want to give to your kids when it comes to alcohol?
Okay, so my parents in particular, my mother was super duper strict with me. And I think that her being so strict with going out and partying, it made me rebel and go the complete opposite.
Okay.
And actually go into it further and do binge drinking, go out and party. That obviously my children and maybe my partner as well will be sober. And I just want to teach them to have a healthy relationship with it, but also that it's not necessary to have it.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't know. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
We will see. Who knows?
We will see, yeah. But for me, I also...
Maybe they're going to drive me to drink. No, I'm kidding. Hopefully not. I'll have too many nannies in boarding school for that.
Yeah, but sometimes I also feel like, who am I to tell my kids you shouldn't be drinking? While when I was their age, I was like drinking every day, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? If you're two, it's like when you lock the kid out of the candy shop, all they want is the candy.
Yeah.
When you give them the keys to it, they're not necessarily going to get a bellyache because they have access. So
exactly. Yeah.
you have to think about it that way.
Cool. Christiana, where can people find you?
Oh my gosh, where can you find me? Oh yeah, socials. So if you're interested in matchmaking, ChristianaMaxion.com. You can also join our free database. If you do, paying client as well, apply there. And then Maxion, Match and Meet. Find us on socials at, where is it? Yeah, at the.maxion, Maxion, and obviously themaxion.com if you want to get on our waiting list. We are launching 2023 in Dubai. Get ready for it.
Awesome. We'll be looking out for this.
Yay!
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the best. Take care.